Veilcore ordered a full-scale deployment. Strike cruisers glided silently into the system, cloaked within the shadows of asteroid belts and derelict wreckage. Boarding pods were armed and ready, carrying squads of Death Specters trained for surgical extermination. The mission required absolute precision. Failure would allow the Xenos coalition to break into neighboring sectors. The siege of Obsidian Reach was unlike any engagement the Specters had faced. Psychic storms twisted reality, turning space itself into a trap. Enemy fleets used warp rifts to ambush Imperial vessels, while Xenos warriors wielded technology that seemed to defy physics. Yet the Specters moved with inhuman efficiency. Korvax, now a sergeant, led a boarding team into a colossal Xenos dreadnought orbiting the central moon. The vessel's interior was a maze of twisting corridors and shifting architecture, influenced by the psychic energy of its inhabitants. The team fought silently, eliminating threats with the minimal expenditure of force. Every Spectre was a ghost, appearing only long enough to strike and vanishing before retaliation could occur. The climax of the siege came when Veilcore personally led an assault on the Coalition's flagship. Psychic energy warped the corridors, manifesting nightmarish illusions of fallen Specters and devoured worlds. Yet Veilcore and his team pressed forward, chainswords slicing through manifestations, bolters firing with lethal precision. Within hours, the flagship was destroyed, the warp rift sealed, and the Obsidian Reach secured. Centuries in the Ghoul stars take their toll. The Death Specters endure, but not without consequence. Time stretches differently in the void. Days, months, and years blend together under the unending psychic strain. Initiates become veterans. Veterans become shadows of themselves. Memories of the outside Imperium fade, leaving only duty. Korvax reflected on the passage of time as he walked among the ruins of the Obsidian Reach moons. Friends had fallen, lost to warp storms, Xenos ambushes, or the attrition of endless campaigns. Survivors bore scars not only on flesh and armor, but on their minds. Yet even amidst despair, the chapter endured, bound by an unshakable purpose. Rituals of reflection and meditation continued to anchor the Specters. The Chamber of Shadows became both sanctuary and classroom, where veterans shared lessons with initiates, guiding them through the labyrinth of mind and soul that is survival in the Ghoul stars. Silence, discipline, and obedience were not just tools, they were salvation. The Death Specters' most elaborate operation, the Shroud of Night, demonstrated their tactical genius on a galactic scale. A massive Xenos fleet threatened to break through the Ghoul star's border, carrying a psychic weapon capable of destabilizing multiple star systems. The Specters responded with a multi-pronged strategy. Strike teams infiltrated derelict stations along the fleet's path, cutting off reinforcements. Cloaked vessels shadowed the enemy, masking movements from sensors. Psychic nullifiers disrupted enemy coordination, creating chaos within their ranks. Boarding actions were decisive. Specters emerged from shadows, executing precise strikes to disable command nodes, neutralize psychers, and destabilize war machines. The operation concluded with the destruction of the psychic weapon and near-total annihilation of the enemy fleet. Stories of the Shroud of Night became part of the chapter's oral tradition, a testament to their effectiveness and their eerie, almost supernatural approach to warfare. The Death Specters' philosophy is defined by paradox. They are alive, yet ghost-like, loyal, yet isolated, victorious, yet forgotten. Their existence ensures the survival of countless worlds, yet they receive no glory. Their duty is eternal, and the Ghoul stars will never yield peace. Veterans meditate on the weight of their service. Each mission, each kill, and each purge is a thread in an infinite tapestry. They understand that the universe is indifferent, that horrors will always rise, and that their task is to act as the Emperor's hand in places where light cannot reach. Korvax, walking the ruins of a dead Xenos citadel, contemplated his own mortality. He understood that the Ghoul stars would claim him eventually, as they claimed all who dwell within. Yet in his heart, he felt purpose. Survival was not the goal. Action, in accordance with the Emperor's will, was. The Death Specters endure because they must. Their chapter is a sentinel in the void, a pale shadow moving silently across the Ghoul stars. They do not conquer, they contain. They do not celebrate, they purge. They do not linger, they vanish. As new threats arise, rogue psychers, Xenos incursions, warp-born monstrosities, the Specters will respond with inevitability. They are the Emperor's silence incarnate, a grim reminder that not all guardians are known, and not all saviors are recognized. Their vigil is eternal. Planets will continue to vanish, fleets will continue to die, and horrors will continue to manifest. And through it all, the Death Specters will endure, shadows in the void, the silent hand of judgment across the stars. The Death Specters are not remembered in the halls of the Imperium. There are no statues, no oaths in their honor, no songs sung in their name. Yet their legacy is etched into the fabric of the Ghoul stars, a record written in the lives saved, the horrors purged, and the darkness contained. Ships that might have been lost to Xenos raids drift silently through space, their crews unaware of the warriors who ensured their survival. Worlds that might have fallen to warp-spawned corruption remain intact, their inhabitants blissfully ignorant of the ghostly guardians who patrol the void. Korvax, now a seasoned sergeant, reflects on this legacy as he gazes upon a planet scarred by battle, but still breathing with life. Their victories are invisible, yet they endure because they must. To die unnoticed is no failure. To falter would be unthinkable. The chapter master, Valkor, stands beside him. "We exist for the Emperor's will," he murmurs, his voice heavy with centuries of experience. "Recognition is a luxury reserved for those who do not bear our burden. Silence is our strength, and our actions speak for themselves in the void." Even as they act as custodians of balance, the Death Specters are haunted by the ghosts of their own past. Every engagement leaves scars, some visible, others etched deep into the psyche. Veterans whisper of seeing the faces of fallen comrades in the shadows of derelict ships, of hearing their voices in the warp, guiding or warning those still alive. Initiates like Korvax learn that these experiences are not to be feared, but embraced. The echoes of the dead serve as mentors, teaching lessons that no battlefield could impart. Survival in the Ghoul stars is not only a matter of skill, but of harmony with the spectral chorus that surrounds the chapter. Through these ghosts, the Specters are reminded of their purpose. Every purge, every boarding action, every ritual is part of a larger tapestry, a silent symphony of duty that stretches across the stars and through time itself. The Death Specters' campaigns are often unrecorded, their deeds unrecognized. Entire fleets vanish, entire planets are purged, and yet the Imperium remains largely unaware. Their war is fought not for accolades, but to prevent greater catastrophes. One particularly harrowing campaign, the silencing of the Echo fleet, exemplified this. A rogue Xenos fleet had captured Imperial vessels and used psychic manipulation to turn the crews against their own comrades. Specters infiltrated the fleet silently, eliminating commanders, severing psychic links, and freeing the imprisoned. By the time Imperial reinforcements arrived, the fleet had already been neutralized. Those rescued only knew that salvation had come suddenly from nowhere and without explanation. Such operations define the Specters' approach: precise, ruthless, ghost-like. Their enemies often never understand the forces that destroyed them until it is too late. As the centuries pass, the Death Specters endure. New initiates rise, veterans age in experience, if not in body, and the chapter's purpose remains immutable. They are watchers in the dark, shadows in the void, and guardians of worlds that will never know their names. The Ghoul stars continue to produce horrors, and the void remains a dangerous, shifting landscape. Yet the Death Specters are prepared. Every fleet, every squad, every warrior is trained to meet these threats with unwavering precision. Korvax, standing at the prow of the Erebus Wraith, gazes at the swirling darkness of an uncharted system. The stars glimmer faintly, some dead, some alive, and all dangerous. He understands that their work is eternal. The galaxy will always have darkness, and they will always be its pale guardians. The Death Specters are the Emperor's silence incarnate. They do not seek recognition, and they do not demand it. Their victories are measured in worlds saved, fleets neutralized, and threats contained. They endure because they must, because the Ghoul stars will not forgive failure, and because the galaxy will continue to generate horrors beyond mortal comprehension. Their legend is not written in song or story, but in the cold, unyielding balance they maintain across countless systems. And so, they continue their vigil. Pale warriors move silently through the void, bolters and chainswords at the ready, eyes ever watchful, hearts devoted to duty. Shadows among the stars, guardians in silence, they are the Death Specters, and their watch will never end.